Donald Trump is one of the most popular topics for conversation since he began his campaign for presidency. This leads to the question of, is it important and appropriate for politics to be discussed in a classroom setting? Cedar Post talked to teachers to figure out their opinions on this question.
As an educational setting, it's freedom of speech is always a great learning moment. I think from my standpoint as a principal and guiding staff members, it's important that the adults don't influence their view of politics, but they could guide the conversation so the freedom of speech is expressed.
X plus 2, are those like variables? I can't talk about politics in Algebra 1 because there's no politics to discuss. However, in my statistics class, we might talk about why did all the pollsters get the election wrong? They all thought Obama was going to win. They only called people that had landlines. Who has a landline these days? Or in my statistics class, we might look at the crisis in Flint, Michigan. How likely is it would their samples show that much lead is in the water?
I think it is important to discuss politics often in the classroom. Specifically in a classroom like mine, it's social studies, and whether we are talking about imperialism during World War I or talking about the Cold War, the Great Depression, decisions that are made for our country are political decisions in all of those circumstances. And obviously, politics today affect our lives whether we like it or not.
So you're talking like more current event in terms of like what are the activities, like what are the laws that are being passed. Then I think like it's all contextual. If that's a government class, I think that's probably most of the discussion. If it's a sociology class, I think that's very pertinent in terms of you're talking like how different groups of people are interacting. If you're talking a math class, I don't really understand how that could be of preeminence. Now I think that is an important part of education, and like any teacher is a teacher of everything in some ways, right?
In AP statistics, I can talk about politics every day because I can listen to the radio in the morning. I can find out what findings of scientists are making the news.
I think they need to be discussed, but they need to be discussed in an educational, academic way, so we are being respectful of each other and we are keeping it factual rather than just how we feel. And if we can do that, well, and I try to do that in my classroom, and we discuss politics in one way or another very often.
So I think there's a place for it, but I think the time spent on it is determined by the context.